It's working. He's calming down.
Even in Black Ops 1, I gotta deal with Deadshot. Welcome back to the channel. I'm EasyP40, and today we are going to be ranking every Black Ops 1 Zombies weapon. Been playing Black Ops 1 pretty much ever since release, and I've been playing it constantly throughout the past month or so. Even with that, I thought this list was probably the hardest of any of the lists that I've done so far, just because a lot of it can be kind of subjective with the statistics and the performances of all the weapons, just because they're so unique. And some of them come with unique attachments and whatnot. Let's just go ahead and get the criteria out of the way. If you've already seen the criteria from the World at War video, then you can skip to this point in the video, so that way you don't have to go through it again. Number one, we are primarily going over the pack-punch versions of these weapons. The unpack-punch versions don't really matter that much. Number two, double pack-punch of any kind is banned, whether that's in BO3 or BO4. Again, I will be ranking all of these into one video at some point, and BO3 and BO4 have alternate ammo types. Those will not be allowed at all. Double pack-punch of any kind just is not allowed for this. Number three, double tap of any kind is also banned because Black Ops 2 and 3 have double tap 2.0. It's not fair to compare those two games and their double tap 2.0 counterparts to 1.0. It's just not fair because those guns will be far superior. Number four, attachments are banned unless they come with the weapon by default. So the attachments that you see in Black Ops 1 in this video are fine. However, ones that you can customize yourself in games like Black Ops 3 and 4 are just not going to be allowed. Number five, some guns may be disqualified if they fit into an abnormal category or if they do not have a pack-punch variant. So if a gun can't be pack-punched, immediately it's just not going to make the list. Also, if a gun fits into a sort of an abnormal category, then it's just not going to be included on the list. But also, some weapons may be considered special weapons that are actually considered regular weapons by most people. For example, I made the flamethrower from World at War a special weapon. I put it into that category because I feel like it fits more into a special weapon category than a regular weapon category. So the flamethrower did not make it into the World at War list. Number six, performance in the high rounds is primarily what we're looking at. Some of the other factors that we're going to take into account are the damage, the ammo, the rate of fire, the mobility, the reload speed, the recoil, the accuracy, and the ability to save you, and the ability to earn points. Number seven, wall weapons do not have any kind of advantage unless two guns are similar and one of them is a wall weapon. In these lists, you will not see much of an advantage for all of the wall weapons. We're mainly just looking for the better performing weapons. Number eight, all of the wonder weapons and the special weapons are disqualified. Number nine, we are looking at this primarily from a solo perspective, not really a co-op perspective, although co-op does matter a little bit. We are more so looking from the solo perspective. Also, for criteria, each Black Ops game will have a little bit of extra criteria because each one of them has something unique about it. And for Black Ops 1 in particular, it has PhD flopper, which the other games do not really have PhD other than Black Ops 4. However, for the most part, since we banned double tap for the regular weapons, we are also banning PhD flopper for the explosive weapons. I do kind of want to include PhD flopper, but the problem is that it's not fair to compare the explosive weapons in this game with PhD flopper to games that don't have it. So I'm trying to put them all on the same playing field, which is why we're excluding PhD flopper. For those that do want PhD flopper to be included in this list, I will still tell you where I would rank the weapons with PhD flopper. Now for the banned weapons of this list, obviously you have the World at War remasters and Black Ops 1, so some of them cannot be pack-punch, which they will not make the list. The weapons that cannot be upgraded that got banned from this list are the sawed-off double-barrel shotgun, the scoped Kar98K, the bar, the deployable bar, the Springfield, the M1 Grand, and the Arasaka. Now, there's two more weapons that got banned from this list that are Black Ops 1 weapons that you can upgrade. Those two weapons are considered special weapons. These two weapons are the ballistic knife and the crossbow. I'll go over later after I rank all of the weapons why these two got excluded from the list. But just know that these two weapons are just too unique and too different from the regular weapons for me to include them in the regular list. All right, so let's get into the list. Number 37, last place, Kar98K. Pretty obvious. It was the worst in World at War. It's still the worst in this game as well. The rate of fire is too slow. The damage is not that good for a bolt-action rifle. I don't recommend using this. Let's just go ahead and move on to the true worst weapon of Black Ops 1. At number 36, we have the China Lake. The China Lake is actually not the worst thing in the world when you have PhD flopper, but unfortunately this list is excluding that. So when you do not have PhD flopper, it's the worst weapon from Black Ops 1. The problem with the China Lake is that the damage just doesn't really do as much as the other explosive weapons, and the splash damage is actually worse because it's going to stun you if you don't have PhD. Also, the speed at which you shoot is just not very good. Also, what hurts the China Lake is that it has less ammo than all the other explosive weapons in this game. which really puts it down a bit. The mobility is upgraded whenever you do upgrade the China Lake, but it's just not going to be that useful. You're better off with a lot of other things, but if you had PhD Flopper, I think this would probably be about 5 to 10 spots higher depending on what map you're playing. Number 35, I'm going to put the Gewer here. The Gewer you'll mainly just find as a slow rate of fire semi-automatic weapon. The damage isn't that bad, but in reality, you're just not going to get that many kills with it because it's just too slow. You move slow and you shoot too slow. There's no real reason to have the Gewer in Black Ops 1. There's just so many other better options. Number 34, we're going to have the PM63 here. PM63, I think, is a really fun weapon, but the problem is you're going to waste so much ammo because of its dual-wield capabilities. Yes, you're going to have a little bit more ammo than a couple of the other SMGs that are ahead of this, but the problem is you're going to waste a lot of that ammo because of the fact that you cannot aim. You're going to have to treat this more like a shotgun than anything because you're going to have to get real up close and personal with the zombies. If you don't do that, then it's just not going to be that effective and you're going to miss a lot of shots, and the shots that you do hit may not even be in the head nor in the chest. They may just be leg shots. I just don't think they fit the game very well. I wouldn't use the PM63 if I was high rounding. Number 33, I have the MP5K. The MP5K is one of the better point weapons in this game, and it's not a bad weapon in general, but the problem is that there's just so many other mediocre weapons in this game that just have slightly more ammo or slightly more damage than the MP5K, which is why it's this low on the list. It's not a bad weapon when it's upgraded, but it does run out of ammo pretty quickly. Number 32, the MPL. The MPL is actually the same statistically as the MP5K. The only difference is that it shoots slightly faster, which is why I put it ahead of the MP5K. They do the same damage and have the same ammo. Really, just the rate of fire is what gave it the edge. Number 31, I have the Olympia. The Olympia is a double-barrel shotgun that you can get in the starter room. It's not really that good. So I've heard several mixed opinions about the Olympia. Some people really like it, some people don't like it at all. It's not that good, in all honesty. A lot of people try to say that it's really good because it has the Dragon's Breath attachment, but in reality, the Dragon's Breath attachment doesn't really do anything. Don't let the Dragon's Breath deceive you into thinking that the Olympia is a good gun, because in reality, it's just not. There's that whole Olympia gang, M14 gang, whatever that crap is. I'm in the good gun gang, and the good gun gang does not include the freaking Olympia. Number 30, I have the Spectre. The Spectre really doesn't perform well at all. The only real reason I have the Spectre ahead of these other weapons and other SMGs is because of its mobility. The weapon itself is just not very good at all. It's on par with the other SMGs. If anything, it might even be a little bit worse, especially since it's a box weapon and not on the wall. However, the Spectre actually has a faster mobility than every other weapon in this game other than 2. There are 3 total weapons that have a mobility factor of 110%. The ballistic knife and the Spectre are 2 of those weapons. The 3rd weapon we'll get into later on in this list. Once you get into those higher rounds and none of the weapons can really do anything, the Spectre is actually not that bad to have to use as a way of mobility, so that way you can get past the zombies. Especially whenever you are in maps such as Derice or Kino, when you do not have stamina up, it is a perfect substitute to use when you do not have stamina up. I've seen several high rounders actually use these whenever they're trying to run around the map, and it's very helpful for that. The gun itself, not good, but if you're trying to run around, go for it. Number 29, the FAMAS. I've actually seen a lot of people overrate the FAMAS in this game. It's got too little ammo. It's going to get you a few kills at a really good pace, but that's not going to really do much after that. You're going to run out of ammo so quickly. Within 1 round, you will be out of ammo. Unless the round is dogs, and you just got to kill a few dogs, and you're going to get max ammo afterwards, you're going to run out of ammo. I don't recommend using the FAMAS. There's several better weapons, especially on the wall, that have the same damage. Yeah, there's just better performing weapons than the FAMAS. Number 28, the M1A1 Carbine. Now, what's crazy about this is that last video I talked about the M1A1 Carbine and the Gewer being similar. However, that's mostly statistically. The M1A1 Carbine is a much better weapon when it comes to the higher rounds because of how fast it can kill. Even though the ammo isn't as good, the rate of fire is far superior. There's no real reason to use the Gewer over the M1A1 Carbine. Number 27, I have the M14. The M14 is just a better version of the M1A1 Carbine because it has more ammo and the rate of fire potential is actually a little bit higher, even though it's not fully automatic when you upgrade it. The M14 has a slightly higher RPM if your trigger finger is really fast. So I do recommend the M14 over the M1A1 Carbine. However, you can't really go wrong either way. Number 26 and number 25, I have 2 shotguns here. The trench gun and the stakeout, which are almost identical in everything. When you upgrade both of these weapons, they have the same exact ammo, they have the same exact damage. The only difference really is that the stakeout shoots a tiny bit faster and reloads a tiny bit faster as well, which is why the number 26 spot is the trench gun and the number 25 spot is the stakeout. They are basically the same weapon. They're shotguns that are pump action. They're not that great, but they're not that bad either. If you're trying to get kills in the early 20s, early mid 20s, and maybe even trying to kill dogs, then it's decent for that. But other than that, I don't really recommend these guns. They're okay. Nothing much more to be said. Number 24, I have the G11, which is a really weird gun because it comes with this power scope that is unique to just the G11. It's not on any other weapon at all. When you upgrade this, it shoots extremely fast, one of the highest RPMs in this game. The damage is not bad. It's on par with the FAMAS and some of the other assault rifles, but it also has a little bit more ammo than the FAMAS, which is why this is going to be higher than the FAMAS. It is a little bit weird with that power scope, but it's not bad once you get used to it. At number 23, we have probably the hardest weapon I had to rank in this video, which is the FNFAL. The FNFAL is kind of a mediocre weapon in my opinion, even though the statistics for this gun are actually really good. The ammo is good, damage is good, it looks like a decent weapon on paper. The problem is that when you upgrade this thing, it comes with a 3-round burst, and the burst is really, really slow. Statistically, this is one of the better weapons in this game, so I kind of put it in the middle of this list because of how hard it was to rank. It's not a bad weapon. I recommend giving it a try just to see for yourself because it's kind of hard to describe. Number 22, I have the FG42. It's another World at War weapon that has a high rate of fire and really good ammo, but the problem is that the damage and recoil for this thing is really, really bad, which is why it's a lot lower on the list, even though it really does look like a good weapon. It's not as good as people say it is. Number 21, I have the MP40. The MP40 is extremely important in this game, especially on Kino and Call of the Dead, because of how important it is as a point weapon. It's far superior unupgraded as a point weapon compared to the MP5, the MPL, all those other point weapons. The MP40 as an upgraded weapon, just nothing spectacular. It's okay, but the rate of fire is just too slow, which is ultimately why it's this low on the list. Number 20, I have the STG-44, which is just a step above the MP40 in most aspects. The damage is a little bit lower, though, is the only problem, but the ammo more than makes up for that. The STG is just a slight bit better than the MP40 because of that. It's an okay weapon, nothing spectacular. Number 19, I have the M16. What's good about the M16 is that whenever you upgrade it, it becomes fully automatic, and the rate of fire actually becomes extremely quick. It's the same as the FAMAS when you upgrade it. They have the same damage as the FAMAS, and the ammo is even better than that of the FAMAS. It also comes with a noob tube, but this thing does no damage at all. It does extremely low damage. I have insults that will hurt the zombies more than the freaking noob tube of the M16. Don't use it. It's a waste of time. But yeah, whenever I was talking about the FAMAS, they said there's no real reason to use the FAMAS. Literally just get the M16. It's on a wall. It's the same rate of fire, the same damage, just with more ammo and a noob tube. No reason to use the FAMAS. Just get the M16. Number 18 and number 17, I'm going to combine together. These are both of the CZ75 versions, the single version and the dual-wield version. They're both really similar. They basically do the same thing. However, it really just depends on what kind of CZ75 do you want. Do you want a more precise version where you can hit more headshots and save more ammo, or do you want to just spray and pray, have more ammo, and use it more like a shotgun? I will say objectively that the dual-wield version is probably a little bit better because it does have more ammo, and for some reason it has more mobility. When I talked about that 110% mobility earlier, and I talked about there being a third weapon, the third weapon is the dual-wield CZ75. So the dual-wield CZ75, the Spectre, and the ballistic knife, all three of those are going to move faster than anything in Black Ops 1. Although I prefer some parts to the single CZ75, I think the dual-wield is definitely the better option because of just having more ammo and the more mobility. So at number 18, I am going to put the normal CZ75, and the 17 spot, I'm going to put the dual-wield version. At number 16, I'm going to put the Spaz 12. It's a fully automatic shotgun that shoots shotgun shells. Cool. With its fully automatic capabilities, the Spaz is pretty decent. The only real problem with this is that the ammo is just too low. Again, this is going to be one of those weapons where you use for like a round and then you're just going to be like, hey, I need a max ammo, boys. I'm going to go ahead and move on to number 15, another similar weapon, the HS-10. I ended up putting the HS-10 slightly ahead of the Spaz because you can shoot slightly faster with it just because it's a dual-wield shotgun rather than it being a single. Even though it's not fully automatic, you can shoot two at once compared to the Spaz just being fully automatic. They have the same statistics, being 2,400 damage, 96 shots, but the HS-10 I found to be slightly more effective just because they're dual-wield. The Spaz is a lot cooler. I think most people would probably pick the Spaz, but once you use both of these side by side, you start to realize the HS-10 is slightly more effective at getting the zombies out of the way, which is ultimately why you probably want a shotgun anyway. Still, the issue lies that both these weapons have too little ammo. I don't really recommend too much that you use them as your main weapon, maybe as a side weapon, especially if you have Mule Kick, they're fine for that. Number 14, I've got the L96A1. The L96 is our first sniper rifle in this list. It's not bad, but it's too slow. The ammo is decent for a bolt-action sniper rifle, and the damage is really nice too. But once you get into those higher rounds, the speed of which it shoots is going to matter a lot, because once you get to the point where you can't one-shot to the head with this anymore, it's going to become a huge detriment to you. So while it is nice for one-shot capabilities in those early 30s, once you get past that point, you're not going to want the L96 in your inventory. However, it's still not a bad weapon in particular. Number 13, the double barrel shotgun, which I believe is the best shotgun in this game. It's a wall weapon on World at War maps, and on Derice, you'll want this for killing dogs. It's not a bad weapon. It does more damage than every other shotgun in this game. I still don't think it's a great weapon by any means, but compared to the ones that we've already went over, it's still a step above those weapons. All right, number 12 and number 11. I want to go over these very quickly because I'm so sick of this discussion that I've had over the past week or so. The HK-21 and the RPK are the only two LMGs that you'll find in Black Ops 1 Zombies. Now, both of these weapons are decent in its ammo department, and the damage is low. The rate of fire is okay for the RPK, and it's low for the HK-21. For a week straight, I have been doing every possible bit of homework, studying I possibly can over these two weapons. Playing with them, doing research, looking on Reddit, looking at Crazy Rabbit, all this kind of stuff, right? Because I wanted to see y'all's opinions. I even did my own poll on YouTube to see what you guys thought about these weapons, which the RPK won by a landslide, by the way. About 75% of you said that the RPK was better than the HK-21. However, the people that say the HK-21 is better actually have a better argument for that than the RPK. The thing with it is that the HK and the RPK, I'm just going to be real with y'all. I don't know when the last time you played Black Ops 1 was, but these guns are not as good as you remember. Some people say that these are some of the best weapons in the game. They're freaking great. The LMGs, oh yeah, they're awesome. Great ammo. Yeah, great ammo. What are you shooting? Nerf darts. So it doesn't really matter that these have a lot of ammo because the damage and rate of fire is just not up to par of what it needs to be. The thing with Black Ops 1 Zombies is that you're not going to really be camping that much. You're going to be running around most of the time. So the mobility being low is a detriment to you. So that's number one. Number two, the rate of fire on these things, like I said, the RPK is okay, HK not so much. So when you're shooting these, you're not going to really have time to shoot and kill at a nice rate because the rate of fire isn't that good. Oh, we'll just get double tap. So let me just get this straight. You want me to purchase the second worst perk in this game behind Deadshot Daiquiri, which, by the way, Deadshot's not in every single map in this game, so most of the time, double tap is the worst perk in this game. And you want me to buy it for one gun. Yeah, not gonna happen. Number 3, double tap isn't allowed for this list, so I'm not really gonna count double tap. Number 4, you are going to struggle to camp with either of these weapons. Once you get to about the early 20s, you cannot camp much with these things at all, unless you have backup, whether it be bouncing betties, claymores, teammates, whatever the case may be. This is not going to hold down the area that you are in for very long at all. So do not camp with these things for too long because you're going to get yourself freaking killed. These weapons just aren't up to par to where they need to be. They're not very good. I don't know when the last time you played Black Ops 1 was, but you need to go back and test these out and see what I'm talking about. They don't fit the game well at all. In all honesty, what the better weapon is, I'm just going to be real with you. I don't think there is an objective answer to this unless you just want to look at statistics, which if you do, you will find that the HK-21 is the statistically better weapon by far because it has more ammo, has more damage, and a slightly better reload time. The only problem with the HK is that the rate of fire is just way too slow. I don't mind a rate of fire that slow as long as the damage makes up for that, which the damage does not make up for in the case of the HK-21. The RPK, even with it having lower damage, kills quicker than the HK-21 by a good bit. So if you're looking to kill quicker, use the RPK. If you're looking to kill more zombies but at a slower pace, you can use the HK-21. What am I going to rank for this list? Personally, I prefer the RPK, but I think objectively, I think it is better to put the HK ahead of it, statistically speaking. So I am going to put at number 12 the RPK, and at number 11 I am going to put the HK21. But just know, these weapons are not what you should be looking after whenever you hit the box. Look after weapons that you'll see in the top 10. These weapons are extremely overrated. Just trust me on this one. All right, let's just get into the number 10 spot. We're going to have the Python here. The Python, I actually think, is a lot better than the 357 Magnum from World at War. And the reason I think that, even though statistically it does look similar, is because the rate of fire is far superior to that of the World at War version. The World at War version compared to the Black Ops 1 version, I think there's about about a 3 or 4 times difference in rate of fire. It's a large difference. The Python holds a good bit more ammo than the 357 Magnum as well. The only thing I think the 357 does a little bit better than the Python is I think the penetration power is slightly better. The damage is the same, though, between the two weapons, so just so you know. Mobility is good. Ammo is decent for what it is. It seems kind of more like a shotgun than it is like a pistol because of its damage. It's easy to use, fun to use, good for most cases in Black Ops 1. I recommend it. Use it. Number 9, I have the AK-74U, which for Black Ops 1 standards, this is the best wall weapon by far. Submachine gun that has decent ammo, okay rate of fire, and the damage is also alright. I think that the AK-74U is solid overall. I do recommend this ahead of every other wall weapon by a long shot. Really just a good, balanced, all-around weapon. However, at number 8 and number 7 are these slightly better SMGs, which are at number 8, the Thompson, and the number 7 spot, the Type 100. Gone over this in the World at War videos. I think these weapons are extremely underrated, especially the Type 100, because they shoot at such a high rate of fire and do a good amount of damage, which is ultimately why I have these ahead of the AK-74U, because the AK-74U doesn't put out damage nearly as good as these other two weapons, even though the ammo is slightly better. I would prefer the Thompson and the Type 100. They do put out damage at a good pace, and they put out better damage overall. So I do recommend these two over the AK-74U. However, you will not find these two weapons in the same map as the 74U, so it's not going to be a battle of what to get, because the Thompson and Type 100 are World at War weapons. And finally, at the sort of top tier of the weapons in Black Ops 1, at the number 6 spot, we have the M72 Law. The M72 Law is one of the interesting weapons of Black Ops 1 that, I'm going to be honest with you, I haven't used it a ton, but it's a good weapon. The reality of the M72 Law is that launchers fit better in Black Ops 1 than they do in just about any other Call of Duty Zombies game. And the M72 Law is no exception to that. It's a good weapon to use on training maps. Horde up the zombies, use your rocket launcher, kill them all. Now, I do think this is lowered a little bit by the fact that PhD Flopper is not a part of this list. However, if PhD Flopper was a part of this list, I would have put the M72 Law in the top 3 most likely. Although it is fully automatic, it doesn't shoot really fast, so don't expect it to be a super high rate of fire type weapon, because the fully automatic capabilities, it doesn't show it too much, so it feels a lot more like a semi-automatic than a fully automatic, so just so you're aware if you do get it. But overall, it's a good weapon, and it has potential to do a lot of damage in the later rounds, and yeah, it's a decent weapon. Number 5 and number 4, I think this is the final comparison in this video. The Commando and the AUG. I want to make this very clear. The Commando, it's not better than the Galil. Shut your mouth. I don't want to hear that crap. The Commando and the AUG, however, that's a fine comparison. You can compare these two all you want because the damage output is extremely similar. The Commando, in my opinion, is at number 5 and the AUG is at number 4. Let me explain. The Commando does slightly more damage than the AUG. However, the AUG has slightly more ammo than the Commando and slightly better rate of fire than the Commando. The AUG will also put out more DPS than the Commando, just by a little bit. So I do think the AUG is better in that capacity. Also, the AUG comes with a shotgun attachment, and although the shotgun attachment is not that good, it's okay in the earlier rounds, and it's okay against dogs. The Commando is the smoother weapon. It comes with a dual mag, so you can reload a little bit faster, and the recoil is very low. So the Commando is a smooth weapon, and if you prefer that, I can see why you would take that over the AUG. However, the AUG has more firepower to its name, and it's easier to kill zombies in my opinion, which is why I put the AUG ahead of the Commando. Number 3 on this list, I have the Galil. The Galil is the best assault rifle that you are going to find in Black Ops 1 Zombies, 100%. It has more damage than the AUG or the Commando. The rate of fire is the same as the Commando, and the stability of this is just so pure. There's a reason the Galil has been brought back in nearly every single Zombies game at this point. It's one of the best weapons that you are going to find, period. Overall, the reason why the Galil is better than the two assault rifles that I had just slightly below this is mainly because of the ammo and mainly because of the damage. Once you have more ammo and more damage, 95% of the time or more, you're going to have a better weapon. And in this case, it's not an exception. The Galil is the best assault rifle in Black Ops 1 Zombies. Number 2 on this list, I have probably the most underrated weapon in Black Ops 1 Zombies. That is the Dragunov, which I think is going to shock a lot of people, honestly. So the Dragunov and the L96 are the only two sniper rifles in this game. The Dragunov and the L96 actually do the same damage at 10,000 damage, shown on Wikipedia, and they have the same multipliers. However, the Dragunov is semi-automatic and has more ammo, which is ultimately why it's a lot higher than the L96. Although I do want to say very quickly that if the 10,000 damage is actually accurate, then it should be able to have its one-shot headshot capabilities up until round 34. However, whenever I went and tested this out, I tested this on several maps to see if this was true. The damage was actually very inconsistent. At some points, it was knocking the head off on round 32, 33, and 34. There were times where I was knocking the head off on zombies on round 32, and then there were times where I was one-shotting the head directly on round 33. So the damage is actually really inconsistent between these sniper rifles, and I do not know why, but just know that if you're going to use these, round 32 to 34 is the final rounds that you'll be able to one-shot completely to the head. There's even times on like round 34 you'll one-shot and it won't one-shot to the head at all. So it's going to take 2 shots. Don't know why that is, but figure you want to know. What's good about the Dragunov is that it's really versatile, whether you're trying to camp or train. I think the Dragunov would really benefit if you could put a red dot sight on it rather than just a scope. However, the scope is a variable zoom scope, so you can zoom out a little bit. The rate of fire is actually decent for a sniper rifle, and the power is good too. So you're going to be able to kill zombies really quickly in the 30s, which is not something you could say about really any other weapon in this game. All right, number 1 in this list, Mustang and Sally. Let me explain why I put the Mustang at number 1 even without PhD Flopper. The reason I put this at number 1 is because it has the potential to be number 1 if you use this correctly. If you don't use the Mustang and Sally correctly, then no, I don't recommend using this ahead of every other weapon in this game. This is something you'll need to practice with, which sounds crazy because it's a grenade launcher and you're like, man, I really need to practice with grenade launchers in zombies? You actually do, because you don't want to get yourself freaking killed. But at the same time, you want to be efficient with your grenade launchers because the ammo is not exactly great in the Mustang and Sally. I don't think the Mustang and Sally is an absolutely perfect weapon by any means. However, the weapons in Black Ops 1 just aren't that good in particular, so that's why I have the Mustang and Sally at number 1. Now that we're done with the list, I'll go over the ballistic knife and the crossbow. The ballistic knife, you can use this to actually revive your teammates if you shoot them with it whenever you upgrade this. Now, other than that, it's not really useful for anything else. You can knife on early rounds with this, and you can run around really quickly, but other than that, it's just not that useful. Had it been on the list, I would have put this probably as a bottom 5 weapon. I just don't think it's that useful. However, the crossbow, on the other hand, I think is extremely important. Whenever you upgrade the crossbow, it becomes a monkey bomb effect, because when you shoot this, the zombies will go after it, and it's extremely important in high rounds. If this was on the list, it would have been number 1, better than anything else in this game. And the reason why is because when you're high rounding, you're going to need this. Comparative to all of the other weapons in this game, they're going to crap out before round 40 probably. This you can use on any round, round 50, round 60, 70, 80, 100, whatever you want to do. It's going to be useful for you. These other guns are not. So that's why I would have the crossbow at number 1 had it been on this list. In all honesty, I actually think you can make several arguments across the list because several of the guns in this game are so mediocre that you can really swap a few of them out here and there. But overall, the list is done now. Thank you for watching the video. If you have any more video requests or anything like that, if you have any questions, feel free to comment them down below. I have a Discord server you can join if you want to, and I'm going to put that in the description. I think that's all I've got for today, but yeah. Thanks for watching the video, and I will talk to you guys later. See ya.